Greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Want to remind everybody, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. There's a PayPal link for anybody that wants to share some love. And the StreamYard link is there for anybody who wants to join the panel. We got John with us again. How you doing tonight, John?
Yeah, good, Keith. You know, I just think civil rights mean fights, and this all bites. You know?
Yeah.
This is hurting our country. It is.
Absolutely, and that's one of the reasons I like this civil rights lawyer. I think he's located down in Virginia or Kentucky or somewhere down there. And he puts things out there, and he specializes in these cases. And he's pretty succinct. And when we look at the way he points things out, and I see a similarity in the things that I see in these kind of things. So I really like his channel. I watch a lot of his videos. So I imagine I'll be doing some more reviews of them. But tonight we're going to look at another one where he got a response to one of his videos in regards to some police that think they have this gross, well, in my opinion, they have this gross grandeur sense or grandiose sense of authority, and think that they just blatantly have authority because they've been given a badge. And so we're going to watch. He got a response, and now he's posting about that response from Idaho on these officers walking in without warrants and stuff. Another very familiar type case where they do this kind of thing all of the time, it seems. And let's see here. There we go. And hopefully we got the glitching part taken care of tonight. So we'll see how it goes. So this one here, he's got cops bust in a home, force the family outside, and handcuff the dad. And this is a response that he got from his video reviewing this footage here.
Come here. You're bothering me. Come here. You're a safety issue now. How am I safe? Come here. Stand up.
Always a safety issue. You're a safety issue now. He wasn't a safety issue until you violated his rights and busted in through his door.
For the second video in a row, one of my videos has made the local TV news on the other side of the country. That's 2 videos in a row.
Officers forced their way into their home to arrest a man who was just there visiting.
No. This officer just kicked open the door. Where's your warrant?
So the door got kicked in. I mean, the door does not shut at all.
And it's gotten a lot of attention on social media.
No warrant.
After the family shared the video of the incident with a civil rights attorney.
The basic rule is that an arrest warrant alone does not allow the police to enter a third party's home to execute that arrest.
By searching. See, that's a different warrant. They have an arrest warrant, but they can't just arrest him by entering private property. They have to have a search warrant to do that, specifically naming the places and persons and things to be searched for, the nouns.
Yeah, or there's got to be an insurrection or a house fire or something like that.
In case you didn't see it,
Yep.
This was the video I posted like 2 videos ago,
circumstances.
showing police officers in Idaho Falls, Idaho, storming into this house without a warrant.
Show me the paper warrant. I don't need a paper warrant. Do you want to be detained? Do I need to come in there and arrest you in front of your kids?
Then the police department responded. They issued a statement to the media. The local media provided it to me.
IFPD are defending both the search and arrest. That statement.
Both the search and the arrest. No, you can't defend the search. You had no warrant to search. That's the violation. Without that, you cannot effect the arrest on that private property.
Especially if the property is notified, Keith, at the door, and it says that this is not in the state. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, you give proper notice, folks. Learn the distinctions between these jurisdictions and what they're using to enter your homes, because you just don't know. See, they're not learned in law either. And that's the reason they keep doing this, because nobody else is pointing it out.
Is that there's established case law that lays out when officers can enter a private residence with a warrant and without a warrant. I am not able to go into detailed explanation of that case law and how it applies to this scenario at this time.
Apparently, they want to argue with me about constitutional case law. Let's go through it. You know, fighting for justice often means that I'm on the move, and recently I had a bit of an issue while traveling. I'm out in the middle of nowhere, my phone's data roaming is off the charts expensive, and there's no Wi-Fi in sight when I needed to make an urgent call about a case. After that, I started using C.O.W.A.R.D.S, the new eSIM service by Nord Security. On the next trip, I decided to give C.O.W.A.R.D.S.
We'll skip the ad sections for you guys.
Don't get caught like I did. Be prepared. Fight, safe travels, and at home with his two kids, and Adams was just sitting at home with his two kids and his girlfriend. All of a sudden, cops kicked the door in. None of them had done anything wrong. They were looking for Kyle's girlfriend's brother. There was no warrant against them in any way. The cops couldn't just do this, could they?
I was standing right here, filming it all.
Things quickly escalated when two Idaho Falls police officers entered the rented home where Kyle Adams lives with his girlfriend and two children.
Where's your warrant? Where's your warrant? Oh, whoa.
Police were looking for a felony suspect named Jericho Graham and had a warrant for his arrest. They showed up at Kyle's front door because their suspect is related to Kyle's girlfriend.
Kyle. Jericho! Kyle, come to the sound of my voice.
According
We have a friend that I call a lion of the house of Judah. One of the guys that lives in the lion's den and is doing what we need to do by shouting out at the top of his lungs and letting them know they are wrong. They are misinterpreting things, and they are going by presumptions that no longer ride. And he says they did search my property. They had arrest warrant for daughter's beloved one. Kind of the same similar situation here. They shot and killed him, then searched my property afterwards. See, when they don't know the justification of how this process works, and they don't know the law, and they're deemed to be able to use their own discretion, that's an egregious error. We should not have people enforcing a law that they have no idea how it works.
Good point.
According to police, officers knocked and saw the suspect inside once the door was open. Then they forced their way inside.
So the door got kicked in.
We were a little concerned with somebody
Sorry, you gotta
selling
put up
solar
with
door
this
to
one.
door.
I'm like, the door does not shut at all.
For reference, here's the actual video that Kyle filmed. It's not very long. I also interviewed Kyle. If you want to watch that, I will link below the interview that I did with Kyle in the prior video.
They had ARs. He pulled his gun out on me in front of my kids. Oh,
My apologies. So just go over to the civil rights lawyer and look for it. He's got plenty of videos. I'm sure you'll want to subscribe. Great material.
But just to recap, here's what happened. This is the very beginning of the video. Then when it fumbles around, that's the very end. That's it.
You're under arrest. That's not Jericho.
I'm not Jericho.
I know.
This officer just kicked open the door.
And she had the opportunity to open, and she refused.
No, that's not. Where's your warrant? Where's your warrant? Oh, whoa.
Yep. That's false because we're not tenants of it, of the, what is it? Municipal trust.
Get him up
Where
here.
is your paper warrant, officer?
I don't need, hey, you know what?
You don't need
You're
it?
detained. Come here.
I'm being detained?
Yeah, here. Come here.
My kids are right here. No, that's not how this works in real life. And I'm staying out of the way. My hands are up.
Thank you, then sit down and be
Yep.
quiet.
I'm recording this whole thing though.
Okay, he has a warrant for felony.
It doesn't matter. Where's your paper?
Come here right now. Do I need to come in there and arrest you in front of your kids?
Hold on, please don't.
Come out. Here.
Show me the paper warrant.
I don't
This is
need
where
a
I
paper
recommend,
warrant.
please.
He has a warrant, felon in possession of a firearm, which is why my gun was out.
I promise. We just got.
Do you want to be detained?
Don't do this. Please,
Okay, knock it off.
please. Kyle.
Jericho,
Kyle,
come to the sound of my voice. I need you guys out of here because he's dangerous. I'm gonna come in and get
He
you.
is not dangerous.
No weapons, I promise.
I'm gonna come and get you in a second unless you come to me right
I
now.
promise. There's kids here. They're right.
I know my laws, sir.
Yeah, do you?
Kyle,
Because there's a felon in here with a warrant.
Kyle, are the kids right
Okay.
here?
You're going to detain me.
Kyle.
I am
For
going.
holding next to my kids.
No, I'm not.
I'm not stopping you from what you're.
Damn it, did it again. That goes again to the, nobody's mentioning the specific type of warrant. Yes, they have a warrant, an arrest warrant. But in order to go onto private property, you have to have a search warrant. That's the basis of the Constitution of the Fourth Amendment. People have the right to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects. You have to have a search warrant to go in there. You only have an arrest warrant if you find him in public. Very distinct difference.
Doing, but I know you can't step foot in here without a warrant, paper warrant.
Jericho.
I'm recording this all.
So are we, dude.
Yep. Yep.
Come here. You're bothering me. Come here. You're a safety issue now.
How am I saying?
Come here. Stand up.
I'm not doing anything.
Then several Idaho media outlets, including this TV news station, picked up the story and began doing interviews and also interviewed me.
An Idaho Falls family is questioning police protocol after officers forced their way into their home to arrest a man who was just there visiting. That all happened the evening of November 3rd, and it's gotten a lot of attention on social media after the family shared the video of the incident with a civil rights attorney.
Kyle says the damage to the door is minor compared to what he describes as his children's broken trust in law enforcement.
They're traumatized. I mean,
That's that trust you were talking about. See, this is supposed to be some kind of trust situation, and you're supposed to be a tenant of that trust. How can you be a tenant of the trust if you can't trust those that are supposed to be trusted? Pathetic, illogical, unreasonable, and certainly shows that they're merely in their emotions and in trying to assert some kind of insane, gross, grandiose sense of authority.
I just got them this last weekend, and every night they wanted me to sleep with them. They just, the fear of that door getting kicked in when they're with me here.
Now, Kyle is considering his legal options. He's taken his story to an out-of-state attorney to learn more about his potential legal options.
It has been hard trying to find someone to help me out with this case, but I'm going to stick to my guns because I know what they did was wrong, and I will take every legal action needed for these guys.
The basic rule is that an arrest warrant alone does not allow the police to enter a third party's home to execute that arrest warrant.
Tonight, IFPD are defending.
Exactly. It doesn't encompass the requirements to be able to enter into that private property. Untrustable. Absolutely.
Both the search and arrest. That statement also says that there's established case law that lays out when officers can enter a private residence with a warrant and without a warrant.
Oh, the clearly established case law says that you didn't do anything wrong? Why didn't you say that sooner? We could have saved a lot of time here. If you don't mind, just cite that so that I can verify that and be on my way.
I am not able to go into detailed explanation of that case.
And what he's doing there is he's sarcasm. And there is nothing that can violate the Fourth Amendment.
Just like Charlie Brown. Don't you love sarcasm?
Absolutely. Show me. Cite the case law, he said. Cite it.
Law and how it applies to this scenario at this time.
So you're saying that there's clearly established case law, but you won't tell us what it is? Well, fortunately for you, I've already gone through the clearly established case law. I'll help them out. But first, let me show you their actual full statement. Here it is. Idaho Falls Police statement on November 3rd, 2024 incident. The Idaho Falls Police Department is aware of a video circulating that shows an interaction between a homeowner and one of our police officers that occurred on November 3rd. We recognize that the interaction has caused concern for many who have seen the video and share in that concern. So they agree with you that what the video shows is not good. It shows constitutional rights being violated, right? Let's continue. Idaho Falls police officers were searching for a man with a felony warrant and had information that the wanted person was visiting a residence in Idaho Falls. Let's stop there for 1 second. The fact that they admit in their statement that the subject of the arrest warrant that this is all about was known by them to be only visiting that residence is very important. I'll come back to that. When officers knocked on the door.
Damn it, I'm bad at this. So again, if it were a matter of just visiting or whether it was a matter of residence, there's a distinction there as well. Because if it was a residence, then they most certainly would have gotten a search warrant. This was just some gung-ho officers that saw him enter a private residence and asserted their gross, grandiose sense of authority.
A woman answered and came outside to speak with the officers. Before the woman closed the door, the officer saw the wanted man inside the house. The officer forced the door open, then engaged in a verbal argument with a second man, later identified as the homeowner. And here they also admit that there was no consent to enter the house to arrest the subject of the arrest warrant, who was just visiting. That's important. We'll come back to that. After a short time, officers entered the house and removed the homeowner. So basically, there they just skip over the entire video that this statement is about. Yeah,
skipped right over all the important information of asking for the warrant. And, again, this is where it's important to know what type of warrant they're supposed to have and asking for that, not just a simple paper warrant. They're all on paper. They're all supposed to be definitive in form and not just a presumption.
They broke the door. They came in saying they didn't need a warrant over the objections of the homeowner. Officers worked with the woman to remove 2 children from the home who waited in an Idaho Falls police patrol cruiser during the rest of the incident. What they left out there was that the person they identified as the homeowner, the man, he wasn't put in the patrol car. He was left outside in handcuffs in the cold. Officers were then able to call to the wanted person inside the home who surrendered and was taken into custody on his warrant. The homeowner, woman, and children returned to the residence shortly thereafter. Well, that was nice of them to allow them to return to their own home. At the Idaho Falls Police Department,
I do love his sarcasm.
we regularly review incidents to ensure our officers are acting within established law and policy, and that the training they receive is thorough and correct. This incident was reviewed shortly after it occurred, and department leadership immediately took steps to address the situation. We are ensuring that thorough understanding of what occurred in this incident is documented and evaluating where we can and should improve. IFPD leadership reached out to the homeowner involved several days ago. He has chosen not to speak with us at this time, and we respect his decision not to do so. Well, according to the homeowner, you busted in his front door and have refused to pay for it. The Idaho Falls Police Department believes in and supports the Constitution and is committed to upholding the rights guaranteed within it. And by that, they mean they do not believe in and support the Constitution.
Absolutely agree. Actions speak louder than words. Actions speak louder than words, folks. Change your actions. Learn something better. Learn how to use the system appropriately. Learn what kind of persons are being operated in front of you. That's those different hats that you imagine that you wear throughout the day as a father, a husband, an employee, or a boss, or a teller, or a customer, or whatever.
Show me the paper warrant.
I don't need a paper warrant. Do you want to be detained? Do I need to come in there and arrest you in front of your kids?
They are not committed to upholding the rights guaranteed within it. And I'll explain why. We are committed to demonstrating integrity by acknowledging when mistakes are made and taking corrective action. And after 4 paragraphs, we have failed to do that, sadly. We are committed to excellence by always striving to ensure our officers have the highest level of training and conduct themselves at the high standard we and our community expect of them.
Yep. Come here. You're bothering me. Come here.
No, they don't. That's why the communities are speaking out now. Much more so day by day.
You're a safety issue now.
How am I say?
Come here. Stand down.
Always for your safety, folks. If this is what you bargained for, under the preamble of the Constitution, national defense, for your safety of an occupying military force, who then employs a private standing army, keep voting.
We are committed to building trust between the department and the community, and thank our community for their support as we work to do so.
So the door got kicked in. The door does not shut at all.
Like we have to say to our kids sometimes, you can say whatever you want. Show me with your actions. I don't really care what your words are. And you know what your actions were? You busted in the front door of this innocent family, and you've refused to even fix it or to pay for it. Exactly how does that build trust?
When you can't accept and take responsibility for the culpability of your actions, that's evidence, again, actions speaking louder than words, and then refusing to follow up with equitous actions to make things right. That's the perfect definition of very dishonorable. No integrity. No honor. None whatsoever.
Us between your department and this community. Now let's discuss the clearly established case law. Even though the Idaho Falls Police Department did not give you any citations to back up what they're claiming, I'm going to do that for them by clearly.
I love steel manning people. See, this is how you tear them up when they see. I get mad at people on some of these streams, these mods that want to silence people, because people that run their mouths, that's all they're doing is laying rope to hang themselves. So let them lay the rope to hang themselves, and then turn around and steel man them, walk them right off the cliff, let them hang themselves.
Yep.
Established, that means it's at least pretty old, long before the incident took place. So I have a case that is very, very close to this one from the Ninth Circuit, and that's what's relevant here because Idaho is within the Ninth Federal Circuit. So other than U.S. Supreme Court opinions, such as the one that's on point here, C.O.W.A.R.D. versus United States from 1981, we would look to the Ninth Circuit for clearly established case law. And lo and behold, here's a case from 1989, Perez versus Simmons. And that's important because that was a civil lawsuit, not a criminal case, such as could happen here. In that case, plaintiff Irma Perez brought a Section 1983 action, a civil rights lawsuit, against the city of Santa Barbara and certain police officers.
I want you people to pay attention. They're telling you how to do this. If you believe there's a violation constitutionally, it's a 1983 action. Absolutely. Eldon says the agent shot out the car windows of my neighbors when they killed, what was it, your daughter's loved one or something, and occurred, and the agency refuses to pay for the property damages. Amazing stuff how they try to justify everything so they don't have to pay.
Alleging that the officers violated her constitutional rights by entering her house unlawfully in search of her brother. Sound familiar? Irma Perez opened the door and stated that her brother Albert was not there, did not live there, and had never lived there. She demanded to see the arrest warrant. When the officers failed to produce it, she refused consent to a search and began closing the door. At that point, detectives Simmons and Miller shoved open the door and all of the officers entered. Sound familiar? And here's what the Ninth Circuit said about that. In this case, we're faced with a situation which falls between C.O.W.A.R.D. and Payton. The officers had an arrest warrant for Albert Perez. They could have legally entered his home to seize him.
And that's what I was speaking on earlier when they were talking about visiting versus residence. See, when they charge for an arrest warrant, they will list the residence. That means they can go into the residence as long as that's where he resides. But if he's somewhere else and it's a third-party private property, they need a search warrant. Constitutionally outlined, folks, with case law supporting.
Yet they used it to enter the home of his sister Irma. Sound familiar? And remember where they said that they believed the brother was visiting, not residing at the home? That's why it's relevant. The Ninth Circuit continued, if Albert had been an actual co-resident in the apartment, the search would have been legal because the arrest warrant authorizes entry into the suspect's own home, even if that home is shared by others. However, if the officers did not have reasonable grounds, which means probable cause, for believing that Albert resided in that apartment, the search was illegal under C.O.W.A.R.D. versus United States, the Supreme Court case I talked about in the first video, which is the ultimate of all.
So they have a Supreme Court case, and then they have supplemental Ninth Circuit Court case, case law at the state level, concurring, and now they're going to use that for this as a comparison here, as we see here. I don't know if they'll actually use it in the case, but this is the comparison he's making.
The famous Ninth
All
Circuit, that was
clearly
the activist court,
established
right, Keith?
case law
Yep.
cases. Ultimately, the Ninth Circuit said that the Fourth Amendment's protections against unreasonable searches in a person's home is not diminished by the mere presence of a guest in the home.
By the mere presence of a guest in the home. So they can arrest the suspect all they want, but they cannot violate other people's rights in doing so.
Home. The Payton case allows entry into the suspect's actual home to execute an arrest warrant for that suspect. The Supreme Court made it very clear, they said, in the C.O.W.A.R.D.S case that the Fourth Amendment does not allow entry into a third person's home without a search warrant. So ultimately, unless a jury finds that the brother Albert was an actual co-resident of the apartment and that police had reasonable grounds for believing that the brother was in the apartment at that time, the search was in violation of Irma's constitutional rights, the sister's constitutional rights. The Fourth Amendment right to be secure against warrantless searches within the home is too vital to justify entry without a search warrant to execute an arrest warrant upon a guest in the home.
Notice the distinction there. The Fourth Amendment enforcement is too vital to effect an arrest warrant or a search warrant with an arrest warrant. He made the distinction of two different types of warrants. Understand how this stuff works and start learning how to protect yourself first and foremost with the knowledge. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Absent exigent circumstances. So how do you like them apples? That is a case directly.
And that's what you mentioned earlier as absent exigent circumstances. Only in extreme emergencies. Exigent circumstances.
On point that literally is clearly established case law for the same almost identical fact scenario.
Say they're just chasing the suspect down the street and he enters a private home and takes a hostage. Now they have exigent circumstances. They can go in that private property. It's a matter of life and death. For your safety, of course.
By their own statement, Idaho Falls excluded any possibility of victory on this issue. They would have to have probable cause to believe that the brother was actually residing at that home, not just a guest. And they believed that he was just a guest.
David Skirl says, is not a person a fraudulent assignment? It would depend. You would have to give first duty in law is legal notice. So you would have to observe it first and then give notice and opportunity to amend, correct, or whatever. If then they don't, then you give them another notice and now it moves to another level and now you could call it fraudulent assignment. Knowingly and willingly after you give them the notice. Hey, I noticed an error. This is the error. They refuse to acknowledge it and continue on with business as usual. And to someone's cause of someone's harm, damage, or injury, or loss, or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Matter of process, brother.
Therefore, they had to have gotten a search warrant. Now, where they may be confused is, like I said, a lot of these are criminal cases. So in the criminal cases, if the brother is challenging the evidence against him and he's filed a motion to suppress, he cannot assert his sister's Fourth Amendment rights to her home. And there are a lot of cases saying that. This may be where they are confused. if Jericho.
But again, that would depend upon those exigent circumstances where it wouldn't be necessarily a matter of a violation of a rights, but eminent domain and the safety of the public. Again, if it was a suspect running down the street and he just entered a random person's home, which happened to be their private property, the exigent circumstance, if he took them hostage, then they would have authority to go in because it would be for the benefit of the private homeowners to try to do something to save them. That's why I like the castle doctrine. Learn how to protect yourself, folks, in all manners.
Tried to suppress evidence seized against him on the grounds that this was an illegal entry. The courts are very clear that he cannot assert his sister's constitutional rights. But if his sister wanted to file a civil lawsuit, that's an entirely different matter. And that could be the case here. These homeowners are the third parties. They are the ones allowed to assert their own Fourth Amendment rights that no doubt were violated here. So there are only two exceptions to that. One is exigent circumstances and the other is consent. And we saw in the video there was no consent, but they also admit in their statement that there was no consent, that they forcibly entered without consent. Honestly, probably their best claim is to try to establish that exigent circumstances existed, that they saw that there was this fugitive in there. They believed him to be dangerous or maybe armed and dangerous and had to take him into custody without taking the time to get a search warrant. I don't believe that those facts exist here. And if you look at the case law in the Ninth Circuit, they are very, very strict with the exigent circumstances exception. You can look at the case U.S. versus Ray from 1993, where they looked at a very similar scenario and they said, that just wasn't enough. Also, there's the case of Fisher versus City of San Jose, Ninth Circuit 2007, where they discuss where exigent circumstances are claimed, we have required, meaning the Ninth Circuit has required the government either to attempt in good faith to secure a warrant or
in good faith. See, even they recognize the in good faith part. That's a contractual term. In good faith, to secure. That's a security instrument. A warrant. The information has to be warranted. It has to be true and correct, or to present evidence explaining why a telephone warrant was unavailable or impractical. You guys ever heard of those? Telephone
No.
warrants?
No, never heard of it, Keith.
Me either. This is first for me too. I'm going to do some research though, right?
or to present evidence explaining why a telephone warrant was unavailable or impractical. In other words, they have to have tried to get a search warrant, and because it was an emergency situation, either they couldn't get it in time or it wasn't practical. I don't see any basis, even in their own statement, for that to apply here.
Okay, so the telephone warrant is, again, applicable to the exigent circumstances then, according to my comprehension already, is that because the exigent circumstances, and they don't have time and it's not practical to do so, they can call on the phone and get the authority by telephonic communication. Now, that telephonic communication is part of the Federal Communications Commission and has a permanent record. And if it's impractical or not really feasible to do it by paperwork process, which would take time, it's a time effect, according, again, applicable only to exigent circumstances, the emergency of the situation. And in this case, there was no exigent circumstances.
Reason why this is so important: if police officers are going to go inside somebody's home armed, guns drawn, as they were in the process of doing here, what are the chances that a completely innocent third party ends up getting shot? This just happened, I believe, in Las Vegas. This happens all the time. And in fact, if you look at the news from just a couple of years ago, this has basically happened with the Idaho Falls Police Department before. There was a 911 call.
Man shot in his own backyard because an officer thought he was an armed gunman. All hyped up on the chase. Running onto people's private properties. Exigent circumstances. And a very short fuse and lack of discernment. Compiled with that gross, grandiose sense of authority. Egregious.
Some of our rights are enshrined, Keith, in 49 U.S.C. 13505 and 31 U.S.C. 3123. I don't know if it pertains to this directly, but
What was that? 49 U.S. Code
13505. Damn, throat's killing me.
Oh, transportation furthering a primary business. Yeah, are you a primary business? See, this is the only reason that they would want an identification or a driver's license from you and have you go to the Department of Motor Vehicles, which is a subdivision at the state level of the Department of Transportation. It's all commerce. Commerce means traffic, transportation, or trade. That's a business license, but you're not the primary business. The state is. Right there, 49 U.S. Code 13505. So anyway, yeah, nice information.
Officers arrived on high alert and ended up shooting an innocent homeowner in his own backyard. And that is the danger here, where you have the government coming in, guns drawn into a home of innocent people. There is a very real danger that something bad is going to happen, completely in the absence of any judge ever evaluating probable cause. That's why it's so important for police departments to follow the rules. And here,
not only follow the rules, but be able to follow the law. In other words, like I said earlier, if they don't know the law, how can they enforce the law? It's an impossibility. They're just using what they call discernment, and their discernment is very poor because they don't do the research and don't know the law. If they did, they might change their ways. But would it do any good if the people don't change their ways first? It's you first, folks.
Yeah, well, the Chevron rule should have helped that a little.
They did.
But
that's
way up the chain, right?
Well, I think that's one of those things that's going to be effectively seen through changes here in the upcoming presidency, we'll call it, in the next term. In the next 4 years, I think Trump's going to make a lot of moves that a lot of people ain't expecting. He's a businessman. He's going to run this country like a business. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely.
Did not follow the rules. It's all there on video. I really would like to see what clearly established case law they are referring to, because I just went through the main cases in the Ninth Circuit, but they actually know that. They know they're wrong. That's why it was such a weak, fluffy statement. So if these are your public servants,
and that's why I like steel manning. People make weak, fluffy statements. Steel man it. Show them how that statement is idiotic. Not real. It was feigned. An attempt. Unsuccessful attempt. And that brings us to the end. And, it's just another one of those good videos to use to point out the need for education and knowledge of what's actually going on, how these processes work. 2 verses in the scripture I'll leave you with is Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. If you're not going to be a priest unto me, I must deny you. If you can't teach me to your children, I must deny your children as well. Isaiah 54:17. No tongue shall prosper against you. You shall rise up against any tongue that would place judgment. This tells us that we need to learn those tongues. And it relates to the values. They use different values through the different tongues. This is the inheritance of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is of me, saith the Lord. Let's make it 3 verses. Can't remember the exact verse. Let me get another hit. But it's to study to shew thyself worthy and approved unto God, a workman needed not being ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Quit letting the small lies keep riding. It's time to quit that race. We're all big boys and girls now. We're full grown adults. It's time to start acting like it. Pure and simple. Even the small lies hurt. Even exposing the small lies hurts. And it's only when we start accepting the small lies that we become comfortable and start accepting bigger and bigger lies. It's a process too. So anyway, what do you got on the way out, John?
Well, my throat will only allow me to quote this from the Bible. Fight the good fight.
Awesome. That's a good way to go out. And with that, folks, you know me. I love you, but I don't give a rat's ass whether you love me back. That's to say, I don't care if you hate me. I don't care if you don't respect me. That's on you. So may God love you. May God bless you. Have a good night. We'll see you next time.
Wanna let your mouth?